good morning and welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. And we're joined this morning by Mr. Bandula Jayasekara, journalist, diplomat and a wonderful fellow, I suppose.
Thank you, Faraz. Good morning.
Good morning. And shall we have a quick look through the newspapers and see what's in store? The Daily Mirror reports on the enjoining order on the Corp report being dissolved. And the Ceylon Today says Sobita Terror back on stage at the launch of the UNFGG policy statement event. The Island, contaminated chemical stock in Colombo port, and Shamindra Ferdinando's writing all about that. And the second headline at the Island is the event of the United National Front for Good Governance unveiling their five-fold development program, and it says with the President's blessings. And the Daily FT, payoff demanded during MR regime kept top investors away, so claims Iran Vikramaratne. We'll have more on that a little bit later on. And the other headline from the Daily FT is Court lifts ban on Corp's bond scam report. And the Cabinet decides UPFA will be sued to reclaim SLTB dues. And last but not least of all, the Daily News starts with Ranil begins new era, promises to build a new country within 60 months, and pledges more amendments to the 19th Amendment and renaming of the Constitutional Council. What do you make of all this? And there's one more story which we may want to touch on. The Daily News says that there's vital information on Lasanta's killing being unearthed. We'll have more on that in a short while. Bandula, what do you say? What do you say about the main story that appears to be the dissolving of the enjoining order on the Corp report?
And I think that's very good. Now this is the time for to educate the people, and people should be aware of what really happened on the bond scam, and they have the right to know. I mean, people talk of information bills and right to information, but this is really for the people. They should know what went wrong. So that is, I think this is a very important thing which we really could discuss and tell the masses.
That's true. It's rather odd that this parliament is made up by the people's choice, that we vote them in. But having voted,
unfortunately, most of the people.
Yes, but also equally unfortunately and very frustratingly for the people, we are not allowed to know what goes on in there because they've dissolved Parliament, and so the Corp report didn't see.
Because they did that because they wanted to hide the information, hide the facts, and hoodwink the people like they have been doing for years. That is really what they are doing. So now I think it's right, and with this election coming, I think we really have to make a wise choice and elect the right people.
That's true. We need to make a wise choice. We need to make an informed choice. But how on earth are we able to make an informed choice when there is an apparent move to hide this information?
Maybe for us our choices are very limited. Maybe that. But still now it's in the open, and we have few days, and for people to we have to create awareness. I think we have a right as the media and to inform, and let them we help the masses to decide finally.
That's true. But why do you think this order was dissolved, the enjoining order? What was who was the applicant? Sujiva Singh, I think.
It's difficult to say. I mean, let's see whether definitely the United National Party was very hurt by this.
But we appear to have had a bit of a conundrum there, because had he carried on with this matter, with the enjoining order, the draft Corp report would have ended up as a matter of public record, because it would have been filed in court. And once it's in the public domain, as in presented to court, it becomes public knowledge, and therefore, presumably, we can publish it. So, do you think that's why, to avoid that scenario, that they hastily withdrew the enjoining order.
Yeah, I think it's that because but by that they expose themselves. I mean, people are not fools. But this is where the next few weeks I think we should thrash it out and bring it in the open. Like I would continue to say that we are media. We are creating awareness and we can continue to do that.
Yes, after all, that is what this freedom is all about, isn't it?
Freedom, right to information.
Yes. Let's take the other story here. The cabinet decides that the UPFA will be sued to reclaim SLTB dues. Now that's a bit of a strange situation. They were all in bed together, and now they're going to sue each other.
So that's what we say, strange bedfellows. And then you got to sue these people from 1948. All this what they have been doing, and then let's again show us the proof. Okay, if you had paid for your car, they say, okay, now this good governance, we are using cars, we are paying for it. Show us the receipts. Not to have just get their like photographs published in the news, but show to the people. Let us decide.
Maybe they should all have their asset declarations put on the internet and published on the internet.
Maybe they must be scared that their assets will be stolen. They must be having lots of worries, because that's why maybe they don't want to publish this, because it will be unbelievable, you know, how you enter the parliament as a normal, ordinary person and how you get so much of wealth. Maybe they're really worried about it.
Well, that's a possibility, isn't it? That's a possibility. Perhaps we should write to our MPs, and that's a thought. Why don't members of the public write to their local MPs and say, please put out your asset declaration on the internet for all of us to see.
It will end up like seeing another waste paper basket. This is what will happen. I mean, I don't know how many of these people can have email and how many of these people could read an email or even respond.
But the digital divide in this country has got smaller now. Everybody has access to...
Yeah, but I mean, just, you know, some time ago I think we discussed how many of these people have ordinary level. So do you think so? That is where we have to really look at it, whether, you see, they will get somebody else to answer the phone. I don't know how many people can send text messages. They'll get somebody else to do all that. That is really what, you know, if your people's representative, be with the people. So we have just busy all the time.
We have an odd sort of situation, because in Jaffna, as I said yesterday, last morning, the amount of people, households in Jaffna that has pipe-borne water is only 2%. But I'm sure that the level of ownership of mobile telephones runs closer to the high 90%.
Yeah, so that's true for us, but then we are talking of the so-called people's representatives, which they are not.
Let's move on and have a look at this other story that's coming in the Daily Mirror, which says, which deals with the matter of candidate Mahinda Rajapaksa, who appeared to have had a fracas a couple of days ago. It then now says that the man was a drunken man. The culprit was drunk, and one of the other papers says that Mahinda's little finger got twisted, and he said yesterday, I think on our news, that it hurt him, and so he was merely reacting to that, and there was no that he didn't try to hit anyone. But it's such a minor thing.
Like we discussed it, it's not a story. You know, there are more issues we can discuss on principles and policies.
Yes.
For us, I don't know. I mean, earlier I was the program. I was trying to. This story in the island is very interesting. There's mustache for Harrison, a UNPA who slapped boy gets bail. There is a 13-year-old boy who had gone and P. Harrison, his poster, he has drawn a mustache, and one of his supporters had slapped him, and he has got bail. Now, so this is like a 13-year-old, is a child. This is innocence. Now, we had time people play with water pistols, and you know, that innocence is lost, and you know, like it's a child.
Yeah.
And he slapped and he gets bail. So my point is, okay, this MP Harrison, he should go and say sorry to that child, because you cannot let children be children, because you don't do this and you don't have it. So how can you run countries? See, in this country for us, we don't say please, we don't say sorry or say forgive and I'll correct myself. It doesn't happen for us. So this is very wrong what they are doing. So this MP should have the guts and the courage to say sorry to that boy. He's just a 13-year-old boy. So it shows why we have to be wise and why we should change this system and elect educated people to the parliament.
That's true. What are your thoughts on this daily news report that vital information on Lasanta's killing is emerging? I mean, for heaven's sake, Bandula, this our colleague and somewhat a media icon, Lasanta Wickrematunge, died in January 2009. It's 7 years or 6 years and a bit. And vital information is now coming out?
For us, I think this has been, really, it's occurring all the time. In this country, so much of vital information, lots of unsolved crimes. The situation is the journalists don't kill politicians. Politicians kill journalists. This is what has happened. You have experience. You have first-hand experience in certain incidents. So what happens is nothing is solved. So that's where you should have the political will, whoever it is, not to protect your supporters or protect your MP. You should go for it, and this is good governance for us. To bring the culprits to justice, there should be justice and rule of law. That's what we are talking about.
Our sadness, however, on this matter is that at the time that Mr. Wickrematunge was clearly unlawfully killed, the opposition at the time made much of a song and dance on this, and there were various accusations being bandied about. Now that they find themselves in power, why is it? Surely all these files at the other side were hiding or keeping away from the investigators. Surely they could have made, if there was a will, there was a way, they say.
And also for us, like say at that time, the opposition rode on his back. I mean, I've worked with the Sunday Leader, I've had my differences with Lasanta, but the opposition, he gave a voice to them. But what happened is then they have got the power and they have forgotten him, because the opposition didn't have a voice at that time. So this is what these people, I would say ungrateful people, have done. They will do it to everybody. That's why you call them strange bedfellows.
I see. Before we go on to our big story today, shall we have a quick look at the story that says in the Ceylon today, Soviet terror back on stage. Of course, we must all remember, be grateful and be appreciative, I suppose, that Soviet terror championed this cause of good governance.
As I have my views, I am totally against any religious leader, be it bhikkhus or be it anybody getting into politics. They have a role to play. They have to advise and guide the leaders, not to get involved. That's wrong. That's really my view. So, I mean, you see how much we are a divided society. That should not happen. So, bless people. They should not get on political stages. That's my view.
But clearly they were probably fed up of having advised them, and for years they've been advising them and having a little, word in their ear. But this word in their ear hasn't worked. So perhaps they decided, let's be in your face and come on, let's get on with it.
But my guess, tough luck. We all have a role to play. Let's play that role. I mean, you can't. So then imagine the politicians trying to preach, religious activities and so preachers. So we all have a role to play in this world.
Right.
For us, with your permission, we are talking of corruption.
Please be
I got this list, list of Australian politicians convicted of crimes.
Yes.
So this is very interesting. We have so many people, drugs, murders, nothing, and they are not punished. We have, in this list, we have so many, at least 25 Australian MPs, like punished for drunk driving, right? They have been fined, their license cancelled. They have been, even former Australian premiers had been sentenced like 5 years in prison for bribery. Then there is an MP who has given for false documents after foreign travel. He was fined $14,000 and given 2-year suspended jail sentences. So this, we have a list, and this has their name, year, the party, offence, and the sentences. This is really what should be happening. See, bribe, misappropriating public funds, 12 months in prison. What do we do? Send them to prison hospital. What do you think?
I think they developed illnesses once they are in prison.
Not the ordinary man, you know, you and I can't have illnesses.
No.
Only the politicians.
Yeah.
No, but this is where we have to learn from these people, you know. Whether if you are wrong, but my question is for us, okay, they'll do this only to politicians. Would they do it to an ordinary person or a journalist or a businessman? They will only protect themselves. They are a special clan, they are a special breed, special unto themselves.
But who makes them special?
We have, like not you and I, but lots of people. So this is the time we got to change. This is the time we got to make a difference.
And this is what the people, the voter, must bear in mind, that it is you who's making these people special, and therefore you must be wise and be aware of choosing people who are committed to you and to the country. That's the bottom line, because it's no good complaining, because once you elect them, they're in there for 5 years and they won't listen to you if you don't choose people who are committed to you. So that's important. I'm glad that you've given us this opportunity to remind viewers that it is essential that they choose people wisely, and people who are committed to democracy and committed to the people and committed to our country.
Yeah, because like you say, they have made us a highly politicized society, and the politicians have got under the skin. This is the time to stop it. Like to have for everybody to live happily, live peacefully, like before. To live happily and in peace.
Yes.
This is the good time. But like also I want to say, for us, after you elect them, we got to put pressure on them. We got to keep on putting pressure, because it's our vote to say, okay, we elected you, without being scared. Like I've been saying, our neighbor, the Indian voters, are very vociferous.
Yes.
They're very strong. They know to put pressure. So that is where, when I say civil society, the masses have to get together and say, look, these are our problems. Solve it.
Which is probably why we need as much as we need a good, strong government, we need a good, strong opposition to keep the others in check. So do you think a national government is the answer then?
So, the way I would see it, we have elected a president, but a national government, they'll keep everything to themselves. So let there be a good opposition. That is democracy. And if something is wrong, but when you say, for us, the opposition, you don't oppose for the sake of opposing. Like in other countries, certain things, national importance, whether it be it financially or development or anything, we should work together. But in our country, you oppose everything, which is wrong.
Right. Shall we just move on slightly and have a look at this, the new manifesto of the United National Party and their Coalition for Good Governance. They have many different points here, but my eye caught this thing under under establishing eradication of bribery and corruption. It says that they plan to constitutionalize the Financial Crimes Investigation Division, the FCID, being in the news almost daily. Now, as we understand it, under the police ordinance, the IGP is able to form a special unit for whatever reason. and it is clearly a specialist job to unravel the pumping and dumping in the stock market, the price manipulation, and so on, and all very important matters. However, the inclusion of a paragraph saying that the complaints need to be referred to a committee headed in this instance by the Prime Minister seemed to be a little bit off-putting.
Sounds odd, and like you said, it's very fishy. So we have an independent panel, eminent people to decide on this and to and discuss with all parties, but not politicians, because then it will be political vendetta, political revenge.
Indeed. And another part of this manifesto that caught my eye was under the investment for infrastructure and development section. It says that they have plans, Mr. Wickremesinghe's party coalition has plans for setting up of 50,000 houses. All very noble, I believe.
But I think the champion of housing in this country was late President Premadasa, and I wish people, all other governments followed that and continued with that. So that really didn't happen.
President Premadasa's achievements in the housing sector won him awards, internationally recognized, and even traveling in Kenya, in East Africa, when this little shopkeeper asked me from which country I was, and I declared it to be Sri Lanka, he went off and got an old paper cutting and he showed it to me and he said, "That's what we want here in Kenya." And it was a little article that said that highlighted Mr. Premadasa's achievements in the housing sector. This was in the middle of nowhere. But yes, obviously Mr. Premadasa's achievements ought to be replicated in terms of housing.
And they are continued with
and
it.
Continued, indeed. But also, Brandula, whilst this vision of the United National Party to get 50,000 homes is noble and not taking anything away from that, in Akarai Pattu, nearby, in the east of Sri Lanka, is a tragic of epic proportions. The Saudi Arabian government gave a gift of $15 million to the government of Sri Lanka. They built a complete village just outside Akarai Pattu. It was a gift. This was after the tsunami. The project was completed in 2009 without any conditions from the Saudis on who would occupy these houses other than people who were affected by the tsunami and had lost their homes, presumably. 500 homes. And today it is occupied by nothing other than growing weeds. This project has been forgotten. It has been embroiled in some legal battle, and the previous government did absolutely jack about it, so to speak. But this government, having come on a bandwagon of good governance, have done absolutely zero. Astonishing.
For us, I think two reasons. I feel, the masses have suffered, the people who deserve, they should have got the houses. But the real reason may be one of the government, the previous or even this, the big wigs didn't get his piece of
pound of flesh
or piece of meat or whatever you call it. That must be the reason. It has to be the reason. Don't you think so? There cannot be any other reason.
The danger is, of course, that governments may now not be so moved to making these gifts, because obviously this country has shown an appalling disregard for this.
And also for us, this rather it creates a dent on international relations. This is Saudi Arabia, another country, important country.
Correct.
They give us a gift, and you disrespect them. That's also, it's really a serious lapse on international relations, because why would they give any other gifts?
Yeah. It's sad.
It's sad.
And we hope that something will be done about it. Will you be holding your breath?
I would.
You will?
Yeah.
You think that they'll sort it out then?
Hope so.
Let's, shall we have a quick look at the story about the story that says that the arrested army personnel in this white van syndrome did not pose a threat to MR. So says Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Yeah, so if we have said there's no threat, that's the end of story.
End of story.
Yeah, but I also wonder why the media, played this up and threats and all this. I think all this conspiracy theories in Sri Lanka we are full of conspiracy theories. It's time we stop this. We are full of agents and conspiracy theories, Fasa.
Do you think that's right?
No, we should get away. Every time somebody is trying to attack, we see. It's like every time we need an enemy.
Right.
It's time to stop this, enemy and then this fear psychosis. To move on. Time to move on. We have suffered for so long.
I think we have just little time to say that one more story in the island, which says that Champika Ranawaka challenges former president to speak up on dealings with the LTT. The former minister Champika is urging former President Rajapaksa to speak up on his dealings with the LTT.
Well, that's something very interesting I've noticed now. I've read in the papers the last few days. So many of these people in the present government are challenging Mahinda Rajapaksa for debates.
Yes.
I've seen.
Yes.
So I think maybe we might have to arrange a special satana,
yes,
to have the former President Rajapaksa and all these people to debate. That might be interesting. The way people, I've seen Akila Viraj, I've seen Champika, I've seen Rosi, Ravikana, all these people are challenging. Maybe, it's time to, bring this up, because so many people are challenging from all facts, and it has to be taken up, don't you?
Indeed. As we go to the polls and we talk about freedom of choice and trying to elect a good government in, I thought we might share this thought with you. We must recall that the basic principle of liberty is freedom of choice, which saying many have on their lips, but few in their minds. On that note, we'll wish you a very good morning, and God bless. Thank you, Bandula.
Thank you, Faras.